Anyway, it's just interesting because all it is it is a frequency that we get to enter in.
Yeah.
It's just that it's His presence, it's His love that comes down and gets to be with us.
Yeah.
And recording things all along, because it was the story. See, I saw my future years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the movie too. I saw it came out as a movie. It was about the bride awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about God's people waking up to who they are and coming home.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole prodigal son story, do you see how all these stories fit together? Do you see who we are and what He's doing? Just because we turned back, and that's all we had to do. It was that I accept you, Jesus thing, okay? But all that was a turning. That I'm going to do your will instead of mine. It wasn't even showing the law yet or anything. It was just like, are you willing to listen to me? And so that's where most of them needed to come. That's how that's how He showed me first. And it wasn't through any pastor or teacher or anything. I was raised this way, but it wasn't until I went to Israel that I had met Him.
Yeah.
And it was I met Jesus. It was Jesus first.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that Jesus. I told you the story, didn't I? Tell you how it happened.
Not about Jesus.
Oh, let me tell you. Okay, so when I went into this, I went into the Holy Sepulchre.
Right.
Where it says that he was crucified.
Yeah.
I walked in there and I felt the presence. I was already very sensitive.
Yeah.
Because I had woken up already, but I didn't know I felt it, but I felt the presence.
Right, you weren't sure.
And I said, Jesus, is that you? And I heard, yes.
Hmm.
And I said, oh my God, now you are the way, the truth, and the life.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned my back to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. And I never felt like I did. That was something I said that I didn't feel in my heart necessarily.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't realize until years later what Teshuvah meant. And what happened there was just the turning of something, It was all about something else. But and he literally, I said, oh my God. And he literally came into me and exposed all of my closets of sin. Everything. Everything was just all right there. Everything I've ever thought, everything I've ever done, everything, all the way back to childhood when I stole this little flint from the store. Because I always wondered what that thing was. It was for lighter. Oh my God, it was about who I was supposed to be. Oh, Mashiach Harakim. Oh, hallelujah. Oh, thank you. And then it started on Flint Street too. Oh my God, that was prophesied as well. You gotta tell Rodney about that. He knows. Oh, wow. Oh, sorry. This is just all... Oh.
It's all coming, flooding into you.
It's just fire. It's fire. It's fire. It's connections with Him and understanding. All along, it was Him all along. Mm-hmm. Telling me and telling me and telling me over and over and over again. But when I was a kid, I stole a flint. I don't know if you remember those yellow things that had the red little flints that you would replace in lighters. I didn't have a lighter to put it in. I didn't smoke. I didn't need it. But I was always curious about it, and I stole it. And I never stole anything. And I stole that.
Coming back at you.
Well, no, but that's the interesting thing is, what we prayed for tonight, what he had me put in intention of that candle that we lit, because he's a witness to me. And with the intention was that this was a flint, right? That this would be the spark, like he showed me, of Israel being born. And in the fire, it's in the book of Thomas, talking about he watches as a fire just blazes. You know what I mean? And that's what this is. This is it. And then, so Rodney will tell you that it was prophesied it would begin on Flint Street. Oh. And we had a meeting, a gathering that we called Bet Kavod later on. And he gave me that name. And it started on Flint Street. We had pictures. Every time people would take pictures, there were like orbs everywhere, angel visitations, all kinds of things. Healings taking place, all kinds of things were happening. It was all basically because of this gathering. It's this gathering that all of history has been waiting for. It's literally all of history has been groaning for us to wake up of who we are. Do you know that? All of creation cries out for us to wake up to who we are and to do and to take the authority that we have to on this earth to bring his kingdom down.
Indeed.
That's what we're doing.
Indeed.
So that was the beginning of that fire. And then what he told me, what I was speaking was fire, the frequencies. It was the languages that he gives me, the angels that come through me. You see, when you're just an open vessel, the angels can speak through you.
Mm-hmm.
And you speak in languages of angels too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he teaches you. And when he told me this was going to be a school, I'm like, oh, great.
You're like,
who's teaching? He goes, well, I am, of course.
Yeah.
And I go, and through who? And he goes, well, okay, through
Well,
you, and
voice
through Stone, and through your wife, and your kids, and your dog, and the insects, and everything. I'm going to teach you through everything.
Yeah.
They're the teachers, you'll see.
Well, and because Moses did the same thing, he was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, you do, and I will guide you.
Yes, that's the faith of Abraham. That's what Eliyahu is here to bring the new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And the new covenant is here and do. That's the Shema, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what he tells me. It's the Abraham thing.
Mm-hmm.
But are you willing to do what God did for our love?
You have to just
God showed you that he gave you everything he had by giving his son, his favorite. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's the story of Hosea.
Oh, Hosea with his hooker wife.
Yes, but we're the wife. We're the hooker wives because we were in the pageantry. But you are the symbol of the father side. That's who the kingdom of Yehuda is. We're the bride, the last 10 tribes. It's the body. It's this.
Mm-hmm.
He actually tells me, he laughs at the Jews. He's like, what do you think you're going to do with it? You're like a head on a stick in the sand, he tells me. He goes, tell them that. He goes, what do you think they're going to do without a body? Without hands, without feet, without nothing to do? You have to receive your body. I tell that to the Sanhedrin too. They don't receive it. They don't understand what they do, so they get judged.
Well,
guess what
because
happens?
the Sanhedrin are not legitimate right now. Because they
guess what it is, in a sense? Because all it took was a certain group of people, all with a certain spirit there. And it is. Just because certain group of people don't say it's legitimate, it is in the heavens. Does that make sense?
Oh, because we don't have, I don't think can have a Sanhedrin until we have the temple again.
No, Elijah comes to build the temple, doesn't he?
Yeah, and there's a discussion in the Talmud about they were wondering. There's something about Elijah. It says Elijah will announce his coming as the harbinger of the Mashiach by coming to the Sanhedrin.
And that's what he had me do, and I had no clue.
The commentaries about it, they were like, wait, so that means the Sanhedrins must be formed or in the process of forming before Elijah and Mashiach. So they said yes.
That means we have to have a temple, right?
But see, that's the whole idea of...
You don't have to have a temple?
You need that first to establish the temple.
But see... And he told me I was here to build the temple.
Okay.
And he's actually bringing me the people that actually build it.
Okay.
That's the crazy thing.
Okay.
They're just not willing to give me the gift of saying this is the vision, is what I'm trying to say. All I'm
Well,
supposed
you
to do
get
is get the vision.
pieces. You get pieces
Yes.
as needed.
Yes.
As needed. You don't get the bigger picture.
No,
you just
but
get
that's it.
pieces.
Every prophet knows it in portion, but I'm supposed to have the vision, and he gave it to me of even how to build it. But we are literally the temple. We're the living stones of his temple. Because each one of us, when he told us, he says about Abraham, he says your sons and daughters, your children will be like the stars in the heavens.
Indeed.
He was telling the truth.
Yes.
Each one of those stars, when we are ignited, when our aura becomes big enough, when we become one with him,
So
we take our seat in our star, our seat in the heavens. And then you can work off our glorified body rather than our fleshy body. This body is sick. By even the doctor's standards, even today, they look at the stuff and they don't understand. I'm doing things that are impossible. I'm literally doing squatting classes, going to get an MRI, telling me how I'm all torn up and have all this stuff going on. That actually the physical therapist did to me. The doctors actually did it to me. So this is it. It's about judgment now. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what he told me. And I thought it was, I figured it was crazy. And anyway, I fought him all along. But I'm getting hit again with the flint. Because tonight he told me to ignite that fire as being the flint.
Like, the
and then he
flint
reminded me,
is
okay, going back to that story.
The What story?
Oh, he showed me all my sins, okay? So here I am on the ground crying like a little baby, and I felt like the biggest piece of crap in existence. And here I was, I thought I was a good person, okay? And he, with his light, exposed all my closets, and I just knew in that light I was just naked and full of sin. And he showed me every sin, and I had to ask sorry for everything.
You have to atone.
So I asked sorry for everything, and then all of a sudden I felt cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up and I felt clean for the first time. I felt like I had a clean slate. I'm like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to be clean. Yes.
I start new.
See, it's all type of shadow of the pattern. It's all the same thing. It works in our DNA. It works in the stars. It's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all showing something.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it became such a powerful. He became so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Even Hillel, is it Hillel?
Yeah,
Gamliel said that, or whoever said that. He says if it's something that's of God, it'll flourish. If not, it'll die out. They were talking about Christianity at the time. He was talking about Christianity at the time, and he said if it's of God, it'll flourish. If not, it'll die out. And he said, don't worry, and watch what happens. This is all to bring us home as one. In the end, to see that it was all him. But we allowed people to lie to us and take us away from Torah.
Well, people appropriate things for their own benefit,
Right.
for their purposes.
Right.
So, yes, people have to be scrutinized and
So I
vetted.
gotta tell you the best part of the story, because it's the whole love affair and how this happened with it, and now being in love with the whole, with the Hebrew and Judaism and all these things, is because he was teaching me from a different side. I was getting it by spirit, and then seeing it in the law.
Mm-hmm.
So as I went through this experience, and all of a sudden I felt like I had a clean slate, and I was just enjoying it. I opened my eyes, and things were brighter, and then next thing you know, I felt like I was being electrocuted from head to toe, and on fire, and it was this vibration, whatever it was just, and I was being vibrated to death from head to toe, and it was coming out of my heart. And it was at that instant I went like this. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I've been looking for. It was this feeling in the heart, and it was like this fire coming out of me. And I felt like I was off the ground vibrating. It was the vibration. All my bones were about to shatter. And it was like so much. It was pure love, though. It was fire. It's the oil, actually. It's love. And I remember saying to him, if you give me any more love, you're going to kill me. And he let it go then, because I felt like I was going to die out of that power. That's how powerful it is. And we have to live in that for the 8th day, forever and ever and ever. Hallelujah. Tadavaya. Simaria Sotiri. Yakaria Kori. Fumanoya Sankori. Hallelujah. Oh, thank you. 8th day. Oh my God. You get to live in that love and that fire. But oh my God, it's like spiritual ecstasy at all times. It's electricity. It's fire. And it's golden, it's fire. We get to live in it forever and ever and ever. For eternity, with our family. All of us together doing our job for him. We don't want money. We're out for connection.
Restoration.
It's the connection of his body, actually. So we are the temple, and I'm supposed to somehow build it. And I can't even, like I said, keep my house in order. But I'm understanding as he's teaching me.
Yeah.
And he's teaching me how I'm out of order by how he's teaching me how I live. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how he's teaching me through everything. It's a lesson of him, to know him.
Yeah.
You realize he's been speaking to you a lot through me, through this vessel tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's how he speaks to me, through him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works. And 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I am in between.
Mm-hmm.
You become those 2 angels of the ark.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the mercy seat. Yes, it's brotherly love. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he says. It's his family. So I'm just excited to see how he brings us with all the flint things that he brought me back to see why he let me sin. And actually the sin was actually to bless me in the future. Do you see how all the sin in the past becomes in a sense, a merit in the future?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the Kabbalists say that, do they not?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kabbalists say that. And so what it is because our sin become our
No,
debt.
because all things work together for the glory of God.
Yeah.
So.
But that sin becomes a debt that needs to be paid. You kept saying you didn't understand why that horse. Oh, show her for a second. You didn't understand why that horse. He didn't deserve to be bought back by everything he had.
It's not that she didn't deserve it. It's that she learned nothing by it. And
you don't think she learned, but she was thrown away. She went by her own way, and she was thrown away. And the only one that was there that truly loved her from the beginning was somebody that she didn't deserve at all.
But I think the overly generous redemption was the part where she did not learn, because now she's back in her haughty ways that are sinful, because it's like, oh, I was redeemed with this much, therefore I am, back in my sinful ways. I think
you just explained Christianity right there. Didn't she?
That
was beautiful, wasn't it?
We argue a lot. We question a lot. We always go like, why is this? Why is this? Why are we doing this? Why is this happening?
Can I tell you? But see, the truth is, the Jews didn't want us keeping the law because they knew what a blessing it was. Their fear was always, even with Jonas, their fear was always that it would go outside and it would cause a curse to fall upon them. That's why he had me break the law on the 10 Commandments. On the thing, because the man said it, the reason that the Jews got cursed was because the law went out to the Gentiles, to the Greeks. And even the Kabbalists say that the glory went with the Greeks.
No.
The Kabbalists say this. And it did. That's where we got the dancing from. Probably it's you, it's the praising. But it turned into idolatry at the end. As all things do.
Things do, yes. People lose. I mean, even the Jews, but like they weren't out of Egypt, 2 weeks, and they were already dancing to idols. Yeah.
But the amazing thing is, see, those 3,000 that were lost were 3,000 that were gained in the future that had to do with His Holy Spirit coming down. Because that's what the promise was the Spirit to be able to keep the law. And what is the law truly? But hear and do. What is it? He gave us a conscience to. You know what I mean? But He gave us a law to be able to learn Him and find out which is His voice. Anyway, I forgot what I was talk about. I've got cotton mouth now.
All right, well, let's go get you beverages. And then we can have a hiatus, and then we can move on to Ruth.
He is such a... Yes, let's do that. But isn't he amazing? This is what he showed me. We get to do this and enjoy him, like sitting in his living room, experiencing him from each other, because that's all we have to experience him with, is to know him from different angles, which we are those different angels. He showed me that. It was...
Yeah. Well, because he...
The angles are the angels, yes.
Yeah.
And when we realize what the temple really is, it's those stars up there in the heavens. It's each one of us connected to one of those.
So we all have to migrate to Israel at some point?
At some point it is.
Put the temple together.
It has to be spiritual first. And what he's showing me is right now we're doing this in the spirit realm through websites, through the clouds. It says the host of heavens and the clouds.
Okay.
We're going to be in the internet clouds now. It talks about it in the book of Thomas. It's a wonder of wonders to create something from the physical realm and the spirit realm.
Okay.
And that's what we get to do now. And that's what they've been doing for a long time. They've been programming everything to own us. So we get to do our own kingdom under God's law.
Yeah.
And his law, he told me I had to create a new money system too.
Okay.
I had to do in the blood of the Messiah.
Okay.
And I was very confused. And he showed me and showed me and showed me. Now I get it.
Okay.
See, the blood of the Messiah is his DNA. It's the family tree that we get connected to. So what happened to me after what happened in Israel was the Father came in and that fire of the Father came in.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't burn me and kill me because Yeshua just showed me all my sin. And I got to ask forgiveness then.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that took it away and went and burned it. And you know what story he showed me? This is where he tells me these love stories now through the Jews. Because the Jews, what they do is what happened to me. See, what you do is with the Father and every Pesach, the Father goes around with a candlelight and the wooden spoon and a feather and look for the leaven in the house. Well, that's what he did to me with Zeranpin. He did to me with Jesus at the time. That's how I learned him. I go, Jesus, is that you? I thought that's the only name I knew. Back then, see, it's all frequencies and levels. But see, he's the one that came into me to show me my sin, to be able to take it out, to burn it. And that's exactly what the Jew does, the Father does. Because he has to have the house clean for Pesach, because the fire of Pesach is coming. And that Father's fire will burn everything that is unholy. So that's why we needed him to cover us in a way, to be able to come to come in that DNA. Does that make sense? He's the one that connected me back to that family tree. It actually happened in there. That drawing is about that. Of Elena. That's everybody's...
The tree drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new one.
Each one, it was an oil part of him. And so we're all portions of him. And see, it comes with the family DNA of who we are. And now we get to find each tribe. So you get to find which tribe. It's actually your natural gifting. You just fall into it. It happens. It's the natural vibration of things. It's like shaking up the world, and the fat's going to come cook together in the top. And that's who he tells me Zion is.
Okay.
And that's who we are. That's who he told me I was. So, trying to understand bits and pieces. Now I know. Better and better every day. That we're supposed to ignite the spark. That's supposed to ignite around the world. That's supposed to bring the kingdom here. Because the only friends the Jews really have are people like us.
That's for sure.
when it comes down to it.
That is for certain.
But what they'll see, all the stories, that's why I love being around the Jews, is because all your stories are about what's happened to me. All of them. It's so beautiful. I start to see, it's like, oh my God, this is the kingdom.
Relate to them all.
All of them.
Yes.
Because the truth is, it's all in us anyway. It's all part of us, in our DNA.
Yeah.
I never rhymed in my life, ever. This is all a new thing, but he just seems to want to flow that way, and I just let it go.
He's guiding you along.
Yeah.
Guiding you along. And I think also he doesn't always want to know people, doesn't choose people who know all the things because they're not useful. It's the people.
Because it's like too much up here. He needs an empty vessel to be able to.
It's too much. Yeah, it's the people who are gonna, because he doesn't want a lot of times people who are gonna argue and resist, and the Jews, we do that. We're always arguing with them.
But you know what the whole thing is? The whole family's that way. That's what he shows me with my kids. He's like, look at Judah, look at Ephraim. Those my kids. That's who they are. One's the law and one's the Ephraim. He wants to... Nico's, I'm going the speed limit. I don't care what you think. I'm putting on cruise control. I don't care. And Dimitri's like, that's unsafe. You should go 35. You should go with the traffic at least. Dimitri's like pissed off. And it's so funny. I get to watch this whole thing. And I get to play Abba in the whole thing.
I love it.
Do you know what the crazy thing is? When he tells you get to play Abba too? And I go, how? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but
He's like, just feel my heart.
Master of your household.
You get to see me through your house. And your feelings and your body. And your servants. And your animals and everything. It's like, wow.
Yes,
I never thought I'd be living this life.
Animals that you pick up off the side of the road.
I get to be high and talk about God all the time. I mean, I had no idea I'd live life like this. You know what I mean?
None of us know what he wants for us until we're there.
But the whole thing is he wanted to give us great glory. What you saw me experiencing there was touching 8th day stuff. And it's this ecstasy. I can't explain it. Other than it's pure fire and ecstasy of love. All one big fireball. You see all those planets that are out there all like scattered? You know what's going to happen at the end? We were one. And the Big Bang. That was true.
Yes.
He scattered himself through and through. But he says now he who scattered is going to gather. One by one, living stone by living stone. He's putting us together. And we're going to find our gifts and where to give it. Because it all just flows when we all just offer the gift that he gives us and be the person he called us to be. It just flows with him. I told you what happened to me in the mirror, didn't I?
With the angels.
Oh, I didn't tell you the mirror thing?
No, that's with the mirror thing.
Oh, I started telling that story.
after
I started
the
telling that
angel
story.
thing?
Oh, there's so many stories. Yeah, it's way after that. So many stories.
Okay.
This is one day when I'm hearing all these things. Did you mind getting the? Let me drink. Did I just pause it?
No.
Do you mind? Okay. This is beautiful because this is the story of God's people coming.
This is the story of God's people
Coming together. It is. It really is.
Indeed.
Because the Torah is what's going to finally define us. When it comes down to it.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to teach us from your side how to do the laws, and we're going to teach you from the spirit side how we experience it and how the bride experiences that and why.
Yeah.
It was all about
Hash
that.
it all out.
Yes, like a family.
Indeed.
Like a family in a living room.
That.
Yes.
We go, no, this is how it goes. And you go, no. No.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We go, no, this is how it goes. We know this. This was told to us on Sinai.
Right.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, all the truth needs to come through now, and that we don't, thank you, that we don't add or change to his Torah.
Well,
And
yeah,
that was the problem all along, and that's what he's angry about.
That's a huge problem, and that's like that joke that Linda tells all the time, which is exactly
It
that.
is. It's sad because if one person says it, nobody can go against that person because you can't go against your own kind of thing, and then it becomes a new law and
Well,
something
but then
different.
when you build so many things, and now it's been thousands of years, and they've built and built and built and built, and at a certain point, you're like, okay, this is becoming ridiculous because this is not what he said.
Right.
And it makes me crazy because I'm like, okay, well, he said this, but then you've taken it and thousands of years.
But they thought they were doing good. And God, bless them. They thought that they were doing good by adding fences and adding
because
borders.
Because everybody lives in their own tiny little window of time. And so in that, 50 years that this one rabbi was there and he was like, oh, this is what it means. And it's like, okay, great. But then another rabbi comes. And so now that we're thousands of years down the road, it's like we're 50 million miles removed. And that's the part that makes me crazy because it's not like the rabbis were all building around it. It's like they were building all on top of one another. Yes. And now we're suddenly this far away. And that's not cool.
Yeah.
No. It's like, it's one thing if you were all, like, here's the thing, and you were all building around it, so every rabbi would be next to it.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
Right.
And so...
They built one upon the other.
They did, and now we're this far removed, and I don't like that. I was cool with, like, the rabbis and, Ben Yohanan and... But now that we're thousands of years down the road, and these rabbis are still making stuff up, and they're just making us farther and farther removed.
Yeah.
And that's not right. Because they're removing us from it. They're not bringing us closer
So
to it.
what he tells me with all of this, and the way it works all around the world is everybody, you're no higher than your master. So there's a kingdoms built all around the world because truth is everybody's just got their angle of what they know of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody thinks their angle is right because, the person touching the elephant,
Oh yeah, the tail and the ear. And
and somebody's touching the ass and somebody's touching the face, and it's like, they're trying to describe
the
this.
elephant's this and the elephant's that.
And then they're all right.
In pieces, everybody gets pieces.
But if we put the pieces together, we have a temple and it literally sings to him. That's what he tells me.
Oh no.
The temple sings to him.
Oh no.
It's a beautiful
I was
thing.
coming out to say goodnight, but if the conversation gets too good, I'm not going to leave.
Oh, the Holy Spirit's been here,
This
so
is-
let's keep it going
This
because
is the way that
Spirit
I
has
say
been-
goodbye at parties. I say goodbye to
Just
one
keep
group,
going around.
go
and
around,
never-
and I could leave
That's why I never
an
say.
hour or 90 minutes
That's
after
why
I
I
start.
never say
And
anything.
here
I
I
just
am.
slink
I'm about to fall
away.
asleep. Oh no.
So Abba is good to bring his family together. And so he literally chooses, and that's why he chooses now to bring in an outsider.
Yeah.
I was literally there bringing judgment. I didn't even know what I was doing all this time. I was just listening to him and what he's telling me to do.
Yeah.
And everybody judged me from Christians to Jews to everybody. But so many times
Well,
I would find the truth.
The Christians don't like it because certain Christians feel like they have a monopoly and you're not allowed to.
On salvation.
Everybody thinks
Yes.
that.
On
You know, the truth is,
on the
everybody
word of Hashem, and you're not allowed.
No, Jews do not believe that we're the only path to salvation.
Not
the
path to salvation.
of the
No,
Jews, but other
the
people
chosen,
with
the
different
chosen
religions.
ones, basically.
Yeah.
But
I gotta
but
tell
it's
you
okay,
though,
it's true.
there are philosophical discussions about what it
get
means
my
to be the
drink.
chosen one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because it's not always for the better.
Well, the Messiah is a servant.
It can be.
The Messiah is a
That's right, not
servant. It
always
says a
easy.
suffering servant. That was Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
He was a suffering servant too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But he ended up on top in the end.
Yes. And that's what's coming now. It's the prodigal son coming home to the father's house, willing to be servants. We're willing to be servants in the house just to be with the father, and be better to be in the father's house rather than being in what?
Rather than being free in a terrible place.
Yeah, feeding the pigs and going, my God, my father's servants, at least I'm his blood, maybe he'll take me back. Maybe he'll take me back. That's the whore. So we know, she was always gone when the good stuff comes about why, she understands that she doesn't deserve him. She doesn't deserve to be back. We took our inheritance, we ran with it. That was the whole prodigal son thing. He took his inheritance early and says, I want my freedom to go do my own thing and build my kingdom. But the whole thing was to build something too.
Is that Lisa?
Yes, it's Lisa.
Oh, she was already asleep tonight.
You keep missing the best parts that I'm talking about that you need to hear about the bride.
She woke up.
Oh, you keep missing the Hosea.
Okay, you want to fill me in?
I forgot what I was talking about.
I left with the part of it's not easy being a Jew. That I'm well aware
It's
of.
over there.
That I
She
made-
understands. She understands. It's the whole prodigal son story. It's the Joseph story. Right, she watched a movie that had to do, and it has to do with the Messiah, and it has to do with Hosea and the bride, and she's a whore. See, us, the lost 10,
Nice words.
the lost 10 tribes. Ephraim is who we are coming home from. You guys are Yehuda. You three are Yehuda. Us three are Ephraim. We're the bride. Okay. We know that we were in the whoredoms. We knew we went astray. We took our inheritance and went away. We took our inheritance and ran with it. That was our freedom. We got it from God. But then God, actually, the Father, actually caused a financial crisis to cause the Son to be to bring us home anyway. But it's all part of his plan.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing was is as soon as the son turned back to go back to the father, he was waiting for the son to turn back. And that's where the whole Jesus thing came in. That's why we got so much glory from the beginning. It was just that whole just turning and saying, I do. I'll follow you. And in that spirit, if you listen to him, he brings you into the Torah and back to the Father. And that's what he came here to do. It was to bring us lost sheep back home to the Father.
And that was the path.
And that's the Torah.
Okay.
That's the Father. That's Yod He Vav He. That's our Abba. Hallelujah.
Yes.
We get to praise him all the day. I got to experience, you saw me this experience in the little bit of the 8th day where we get to praise him for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stay in that fire. Do you have any idea the ecstasy in that fire that there is? It's love. Pure love and ecstasy. I got to feel it for 10 minutes, and I didn't know how I was going to be able to withstand it for eternity. Go, this is too much for me. Eternity in that kind of glory, because it's pure love from above. It's pure him in you flowing. And that's what almost killed me. So back to the story of what happened in Jerusalem, because this is a really important story, and it has to do with what you guys do. So with that whole Yeshua, the Father used the little light Yeshua to expose the closets of sin and where we had leaven. And then he took it with the cross, and the Father took it outside and burned it outside. So what the Jews do was about Jesus too. You see what I mean? That's what happened to me. He makes me experience these things so I can understand them from the spiritual side of what you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he came here, to expose the sin. Because if the Father's light comes in and that leaven is there, poof, you're not covered by the Father going around with the little light, Ziranpin, little face. The little face.
Okay.
That's in Kabbalah, Ziranpin. It's the small face. There's big face and small face, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Father and basically in the Son.
Okay.
That was a nickname we had for our baby when he was a newborn.
Huh?
We called him Zeranpin
Mm.
because his face was so small.
Yeah. But that's what it was. See, so small face was, Yeshua came here to show us what the Father looks like. That's what he said. If you see me, you see the Father. But it was, I can say the same thing to you today.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Father lives in me now. And he was flowing through.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see me, you've seen the Father. Just like Yeshua said. And that's what they killed him for. Because they're like, hey, who is he? This is blasphemy. God doesn't have a son. He's like, but actually, you're all meant to be. You're all sons and daughters.
Well, that's what I always say whenever, that's my constant conversation with Christians, is that they go, oh, but the Son of God, and I go, we're all children of God, and they go, well,
But he was here to be a pattern and to show the Father, the Father. That's what I'm trying to say. That was the whole, he was here to pay the ultimate price. Because, so you can't remarry, that's what you've divorced. For us, he had to come and die in a certain way to shed his blood.
okay,
by
you
his
know, we
bride.
don't.
Did you hear about the DNA they found on the ark? Do you remember that? Do you want to talk about that?
The assistant came out yelling and screaming and saying, what's in there? What's in there? And he tore out of there in this little tiny cave system as fast as he could, and he never came back. So Ron Wyatt went in there, and he came back another time, with more lights and all that, because what they had didn't light it up. And he shined the light, and he couldn't believe what he'd seen. Yeah, first he saw one piece, the bread, the table of showbread, how do you say that? You know what I'm talking about.
The table.
Yes,
Showbread.
showbread, the table showbread. He saw all the different and I know,
Implements of the temple.
yeah, I know them. I just can't think of them right now. I'm sorry. And it took a while to get in there, and I think they found a different way in.
Okay.
By chance, right? And so when he was in there, he saw something red, and then these angels
red
appeared
cloth.
to him, and
And
it
the-
was the ark
when was
lifted.
this?
When?
When?
I'm not sure. Do you know what year this was? This is, I think, 20 years ago.
Okay.
About 20, 30 years ago, maybe the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
And the angels lifted the tablet of the ark with the angels in the mercy seat. And he knew, the Lord told him that was blood. Okay? Now bear with me here, because he asked me to tell the story. So, the Almighty ministered to him that was under Golgotha, where the cross,
the blood dripped down.
the blood, yes, you're right, dripped all the way down. And so he went and had this test. He said he went all over Israel. He asked
So that was just outside the walls of the temple.
Yeah, in Second Temple times, they said that the stuff wasn't actually in there. They said the Shekinah never dwelled in the Second Temple. That's why when they came back from Babylon, the elders who remembered the first one were crying when the second one went up.
Thank you. So he took the blood sample, and remember, it's dry and it's ancient now. And he took it to where he trusted them to examine the
Run
blood.
the DNA on it.
And they ran it. You're right. They ran it and they spun it and everything. And this can't be. This is chromosomes from, it's 23. It's only one side, okay? Or 24, I think it was 23. So it's 24 and 24, mother and father. And they said, it's missing. We have the mother, but we're missing the male part. There was a rabbi who passed away a few years ago, and he says, I know who the Messiah is. And he wrote it in an envelope. He said, don't open it until I'm gone. And he said it was Yeshua.
Rav Kaduri, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you know.
The Chabad.
Yeah, I just go to the Father and I said, Father, I'm tired of man's version of the truth. I said, you created everything. You know all things. You know, I said, I want to know what stands as truth before you and not man. And I said, just give me the strength to bear it. Whatever it is you're going to be teaching me, just give me the strength to bear it, you know? The Christians are missing so much. So much. They're so filled with false teachings now.
A lot of the
It's
churches
so-
are false.
It's so
filled
horrific.
with false
you know,
teachings.
But there are churches that are preaching the truth. Not the big
There
ones.
are. No, there are
Yeah.
definitely pockets
They
of
missed
truth.
a lot. They don't understand. They want to use him
Well, with,
as a vending machine.
and
Bless me,
with
bless
us too. I mean, there are plenty of Jewish temples that are filled with false teachings too.
me. I guess it's that time we're in.
It's
If
we're
we
in-
go to him and say, what is the truth? Show
Yeah.
me.
and
I'll
I
study.
think-
Give me the health to study. Give me the eyesight to study.
Mhm.
You know,
give me ears to hear.
Yeah, ears to hear. and
Because
eyes
I
to
don't want to
see.
be led astray by false
Yes,
prophets.
Yes, thank you. That's
Yeah.
right. That's how I feel. You know, I'm just blessed to be here. You know.
Well, I think we're all blessed to be able to reject the falsehoods.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important place to start, is to recognize when you're being fed falsehoods and to reject it. Because until you strip that away, you can't get to the truth.
Because I had to boil it. We just started boiling our meat now. It was a turkey that I had
So
in
you
there.
boil it,
I boiled it first time.
but that's because of your following, or is that Greek?
Yeah, no, it's because of following. It's
Okay.
because of getting rid of all the blood,
blood.
and all that. It's,
Right. Oh
we
my
actually did a little
goodness.
experiment. We're going to
Ribs
do it
are like
that
this
way.
big.
That he was in the sacrifices all
Well, nice.
along.
Oh, yeah.
Are you hearing
They
that?
were
No, you
good.
guys are talking ribs over here. We're talking God's Torah.
Okay.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. I
He's
didn't mean
making you
to-
feel bad.
I'm just joking.
No.
You
It's a
don't
little
gotta
picture.
make
I think
us
I got it
feel
from my mother.
bad.
I know she's Jewish.
Where is
In a
your
way, they're
mother
talking about the
tonight? I was
sacrifices too.
wondering
That
know.
everybody's
to be here
Is that what I was saying?
About
entering the
the
lamb,
Torah.
and him entering the lamb.
Oh. That's the beautiful part about it. So she saw the lamb. You saw the lamb too. But
Oh yes.
to see it, to understand, it's for me, it's like the worst night of the year for me in a sense. It's my worst day. I loathe it every year. I do. I don't want to do it.
You don't want to slaughter the lamb? I
No,
think you'd be
not at
used
all.
to it by now.
No, not at all.
6 years.
No,
Then you'd
because
be
each
used
time
to
I know what I'm doing. Each time I know even more what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
it's hard because I know who I'm doing it to. The whole reason why there had to be blood being shed for sin was because he had to have vessels to enter into. And that's why it's always a holy vessel. See, the pigs were unholy. Even Yeshua sent the demons into the pigs.
No.
He sent them into the pigs and they ran into the water. Anyway, it was meant to be. They're meant to be holy vessels in order to house him, his spirit, and it comes through the person doing it too. It comes through. There's an interaction with breath that takes place. I've witnessed it every year. And it's our spirits entering in each other and becoming one. He has to approve me. Every year I have to sit in.
And you're so
Do you know who said that? That Jew, that little Jew, Nathan. Oh, Abba bless him. He said so many things that God showed me. He said that again. He goes, he'll be smelling him whether he can enter in. People will enter in.
And we
Did you hear? I don't know if you
saw
heard. Did you ever watch that?
Which one?
He was a Jewish man. He was talking about the Gog-Magog war and Obama. He actually talked about Obama.
Oh, it was a lecture.
He had a near death, right?
He had a near-death experience, and he was a Jew, but he wasn't religious. He was 15 years old. It's called Natan, but he confirmed so many things for me that I was saying as well. That was like he confirmed these things. But anyway. He's been telling me every year that the lamb has to sniff me and smell me, and if I'm approved to do this, and I have to basically ask, and I have to have some sort of communication with this lamb.
Have to bond with the lamb.
Yes, but I asked. I asked it. I mean, the first time I came, he woke me up out of sleep and says, "Go out down." It was a full moon. You go downstairs, and I came out here, and it was like a Narnia book thing. It was like everything was yellow with the flowers and flowers here, and the lamb. It was the moonlight, and the lamb was over there. He actually chose us to do it there because the first year we did it down there,
Okay.
and he chose that place.
Okay.
And I meet him there. I see him at the thing. I'm looking at him. I'm like, I have to kill you.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to kill you. When you see it though, for the reality of what it is.
No, I
It's such a beautiful thing, isn't
we
it?
used to do it.
Yeah. I mean, people. That's what they
And
do.
they
They have
did it
farms.
tonight.
It's true.
I was waiting. Yeah,
You know
because
what I
I
mean?
thought
When you do
for sure
that,
she'd
things that
be
other
here.
people can't do,
Yeah,
you become their
not
savior.
that. She couldn't. Not,
Right?
not this time,
Okay.
but next
Just
time.
shalom to her.
Shalom. Can you imagine how exciting it is to me to see all these things that he's been teaching me since the '80s? He was teaching me Kabbalah, and I had no clue
Yeah.
what he was doing, what this was.
No,
He would
we're-
teach.
yeah.
I was learning these things and not knowing where it was coming from. It was just.
Yeah. You're like, what is this?
He was teaching me. But it wasn't until I went to a Kabbalah conference that I realized it's like, oh my gosh, I know all this stuff.
Oh, you're like, oh.
Yeah, and they're kind of like, who are you? You know,
Look at all these people suddenly.
they study 3 hours. I mean, they start at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
and they would not be very happy that here I would know this stuff, and they're studying, and they're like, you should be studying under him too. I said, well, I can't do that. I would leave the throne of the king, just sit under a man. I can't do
Gotta
such
do
a
what
thing.
I'm told.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea. That was it. We were all supposed to be originally. All we're supposed to go up the mountain.
Yeah. And then the Jews all freaked out
Yeah,
and said, ah!
the Hebrews.
So now, do
I
you,
corrected. You see, it's all different angles of the same thing. It's just in the Torah is how many levels. You know what I mean? And this is just seeing it at different levels.
Deep.
That's having that
Very
eye single and seeing it from a different level, and then having those.
Isn't that amazing? So tonight's the night to stay up. Well, to stay up all night and talk about Torah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
And we're
that.
gonna go mikveh in the morning, first thing in the morning. If you can, look at the sun. Look at the sun first thing in the morning as it's rising.
And that's when the Almighty told you to.
Yeah. And that's when then the 23rd of the September 23rd, 2017, the day that the Bible prophesied the rod would be born, the baby would be born. Which the baby, he kept telling me, was between. He kept telling me between you and the rabbi, and it was basically between us and the Jews. But it was like me and the rabbi was a symbol of that, about this baby being born, and the baby was And Elijah gives birth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, I've had a birthing experience in there. And the birthing, it's birthing a new thing. It was Israel coming together. But that was the baby. It was the birthing of
And here's
the spirit and
proof of
truth.
it.
So you see family.
Yeah.
You can see who your family is because you feel it. You just kind of know. And that's what he told me. He was telling me to tell the Jews. He goes, go out there and find 10 for each of you. And that's what it says at the end times. It says there'll be 10 to the code of a Jew, saying, let us follow you. We know that God is with you. Right? And that's the bride.